The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on August 27th, 2024.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toonpop. Good morning, Pam. How's the weather up there today, Pam?
Hey, you know what? It's beautiful up in Pukalani this morning.
Yes,
We're so glad, though, to have had the rain.
Exactly, yeah. Yesterday was such a nice day, nice and clear and clean-looking air after the rain.
I know, we are so blessed to live in Maui. It's been amazing. And of course, our heart goes out to the rest of the country. I mean, just heat waves and torrential rain in other areas as well. I mean, it's just amazing to see all the things that are occurring. But thank you, Gary, for opening our show. To all who are joining us, we're glad to have you with us and hope you're experiencing a beautiful day here in Maui. We're going to have some fun this morning. We're going to talk to Debbie Cabebe, CEO of Maui Economic Opportunity. And then we're going to talk with Kent Untermann, who is a business owner of family brands Pictures Plus, CocoNene, Plus Interiors, and California Classics, who's been doing some amazing things, working with local manufacturers and creating products here in the island. So we're so excited to talk to both of them. But let me begin. Debbie's on the line, and I'd like to introduce her to you. Of course, many of you know her. Debbie is the Chief Executive Director of Maui Economic Opportunity, leading one of the largest nonprofit organizations in Maui County with a $22 million annual budget, more than 200 employees on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, and with more than 40 programs that help low-income residents, persons with disabilities, kapuna, youth, and other disenfranchised members of the community. MEO is also one of the largest established nonprofits in the county, chartered in 1965. And Debbie became the CEO in April 2017, ascending through the ranks in her 23-year career with the Community Action Agency, which is also part of a national network of poverty-fighting agencies. She began with MEO as Chief Human Resource Officer in 2000 and became the Chief Operating Officer in 2011. She also served on many boards and commissions, including the Hawaii Alliance of Nonprofit Organizations, known as HANO, the Friends of the Children's Justice Center, and they've been doing amazing work. She's been involved with the Association of Farm Workers Opportunity Program, Rocky Mountain High, and she's the treasurer of that, Community Transportation of America, and is the state delegate for that, Workforce Investment Board, Maui County Council on Aging, and Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Good morning, Debbie. How are you this morning?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I am excellent, although a little scratchy throat this morning, but that's common for me at this time of the morning. So we have been sitting on some of the MERC meetings, and MERC is the Maui Economic Recovery Commission group. We have, I think, over 100 individuals serving as we look to address different issues to our recovery. And you folks have been involved in so many different aspects of the recovery efforts, helping people in financial need, and on the front lines in many arenas. I just thought it would be great to hear, a year later, what are some of your reflections on the Lahaina and Kula wildfires and the work that you've been doing during this time?
Wow. Well, it's been a long journey for everyone. I was just telling somebody yesterday that driving into Lahaina and seeing all the work that's been done, the physical work in the last 12 months is pretty remarkable. And I'm sure for the people that live there, it's not happening fast enough. But really, it is incredible the amount of things that have happened in a short period of time. And that wouldn't have happened without the efforts of a whole bunch of people. And so we're very fortunate that's happening. But at the same time, people are still hurting, and recovery and healing looks so different for every single person. So I don't think there's a magic number that says, okay, now it's been, 12 months, so you need to move on. I don't think it works that way. I've seen a lot of resources come into the community that we didn't have before, and I'm hoping that they'll stay, particularly in the mental health arena. I think that's extremely important. I know that impacts our houseless community, absent of a national disaster. We have placed probably to date about 3,500 individuals into housing throughout Maui County. Some of them were 3 months, and then we got extensions, and we helped people up to 9 months. And when those subsidies ended, we've been helping people transition into longer-term housing. Unfortunately, the cost of everything has gone up considerably, and that's making it very difficult because people are concerned about committing to a rental unit that they don't think they can sustain if they don't have a subsidy. But we're lucky that we've run the rental program for many years. So we have a relationship with some very good local landlords who are willing to take a reasonable rent to make it so that these people can have a more stable long-term solution. And I'm very happy that there are a lot of midterm housing solutions on the horizon to get folks out of some of the condos that are probably not appropriate for long-term solution. And then hopefully those midterm housing solutions will turn into maybe housing for our houseless population once we get our other residents stable into long-term housing. We've also spent a lot of time working with our youth. Year-round we do our suicide prevention, our bullying and underage drinking prevention programs, but we really reached out. We had just reached out right before the fires and started engaging the Lahaina community. So that's been a focus of ours. We probably trained over 1,600 youth in all those programs as of yesterday. And then, of course, our Business Development Center doing financial literacy for about 500 youth and adults. And then the bridge grants, which was funds that the governor had actually sent to Maui County and asked us to administer. And we've helped about 200 businesses for about $2.5 million. There's more money there. There's people in the pipeline. Unfortunately, the process for getting the money released after we obligated is a little complicated, and so we're working through that because it's hard. We can't front a lot of cash, so we have to wait for reimbursements before we can release the next round. But that's ongoing, and in all, between us and MEBD, and when all's said and done, it's about $12.5 million that'll go out to small businesses. And then our Enlace Hispano, our Hispanic League program, we hosted consulates here at our MEO facility in Wailuku right after the fires to help people obtain documentation that was lost. We had the Mexican, Argentina, Peruvian consulates, and we will do that again. And we're gearing up for some English as a second language classes. We hired a retired teacher who is an ESL, English as a second language teacher. She'll be hosting classes for adults that want to improve their English so that they can hopefully take the test and become a citizen. And then the federal government gave the state money for a national dislocated workers grant, and that's kind of been the most unique program I think that we've administered this year. Is it was to support all these recovery sites that stood up organically right after the fires, and they were doing humanitarian work, distributing supplies and goods and helping people. So we have about 48 what we call host sites. We've got about 170 workers that are placed at those sites, and they get paid a pretty decent wage. It's a 12-month program. And then once they've worked for 12 months, we're hoping either the site can hire them as on their own without subsidy, or we're placing them into other jobs. And as you know, there's a bunch of jobs that are available in our county. And then finally, there's the Maui Relief TANF program that we have given out about $12.7 million and helped about 6,000 individuals. And that was funding from the state and the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, and it was supplemented by Hawaii Community Foundation. And so all those things, along with, our reintegration program, our Head Start program, transportation, we're busy.
You are amazingly busy, and I love that you have employed, over 200 people. That's phenomenal in and of itself as well, to run and administer these programs. I'd like to kind of circle back for a minute. You mentioned, and I remember very early on, as the youth were having to move into other schools, we kept hearing so much about bullying. And, for the Lahaina students, which I was really amazed by, actually, given all that the students were going through. But as they moved into other schools, to hear that we were, getting this feedback that they were being bullied as they entered into other school systems. Can you talk a little bit about that and how, were you with your bullying suicide prevention program? I'm sure you were engaging in that work as well while that was happening.
Yeah. So
were you able to assist with that?
Well, we like you said, we did engage the Lahaina schools. We went out even to some of the hotels when they were allowing providers to come in and holding on-site workshops. We went into Cabebe schools this year. We expanded our program to the island of Molokai. The suicide rate in Molokai is a kind of a secret that's kept, but it was quite high. And so it's just a matter of making the children aware. And unfortunately, a lot of times they mimic what they hear at home. And so really trying to also educate the parents about being aware about what we say, modeling good behavior. The program is an evidence-based program, and I am, I'm not the expert. Dane I and the youth service team, they're trained, extensively trained in delivering the curriculum. And again, it is an evidence-based curriculum, so there's ways to measure the gains from before somebody's trained and after. And they make it fun. And what I really like about the program is not only do they do the in-class education, but they do out-of-school activities to reinforce what they learned. And they do a lot of community service to help make our youth, responsible citizens. So they do a lot of intergenerational activities to teach them about giving back to the community at all levels. And they also teach them about advocacy, looking at issues that are important in our community and getting the kids out there to speak up and say what they think about it. So I think that the youth are, the best thing that we have, and investing in them is going to make our community that much better.
Absolutely. I think it's a really great program. The other thing that I've been hearing, but we haven't been able to quantify it, and understandably, this being such a tough time, but knowing that suicides often are, a challenge and rise during holiday season, Thanksgiving, January. We were hearing the numbers in Lahaina in some of the ethnic groups and some of the ethnic men. It was a challenge. And so I'm glad to hear that you're out there and we've got additional resources. It hasn't been quantified, and so it's hard to say what the numbers are or if that's even how accurate that is, or what groups need more help. But I'm really glad that the programs are out there. And I, as you point out, and of course, when it comes to this issue, it's one of those things that, with HIPAA laws and a lot of people being so quiet about it because, they just so distraught.
And I think there's a fear of, glamorizing it. You don't know how it be received, and you know, people with depression oftentimes are vulnerable, not just youth, but adults. And so,
Yes.
I think as a layperson, maybe we don't fully understand. So I think there's just not a lot of discussion about numbers and things like that because I don't think numbers tell a story, and maybe they don't know exactly how to tell that without maybe taking a chance of making it seem, like, oh, this is a way to get attention or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a complicated subject for sure. And I think there can be a lot more resources that are, allocated to that. I really have to applaud the Liquor Commission. They took some of their funding and gave it to our program to support some of the underage drinking prevention outreach. And, a lot of times suicide is linked to underage drinking and to bullying and even teen pregnancy. So it's kind of all related.
Yeah, and I had no idea that there was a higher rate in Molokai.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that data was available so that we can help. I mean, sometimes the fact is, I think we could obtain more resources, but we're just not aware that the problem is escalated, and where we're really at in some of these areas. So I'm really excited to hear about that help because it's so important.
Yeah, we're very
I
fortunate.
find
We have a young woman that leads a program. Her name is Mela Candelera, and she's a Molokai resident and very connected with the community. And so she's out there and has really engaged not only the kids but the parents as well. And they just did a community march the other day, about bullying awareness prevention out in Kaunakakai town. So she's embraced, every aspect of the program, has been able to receive the certifications in training, and she's doing a phenomenal job.
I'm really glad to hear it. I mean, it was one of the things that surprised me, given all we were going through as a community with the wildfires, and yet again, it just shows, as you say, students here mimic some of the things that they hear what had been modeled before them, or it's also a teenage thing. And so I'm glad it was really getting extra attention and being addressed. I'm still hearing every day. We've been working mostly in the realm of course, trying to help businesses access grants, and certainly the grants for businesses that you were working on and MADV was working on. We were funneling people there left and right. And of course, we're still trying to work to help people get small business loans through the SBA, because that's where we're at in terms of availability for a lot of things. And I know you still got a little bit of money. I know David was saying, and you shared it. It's a reimbursable program, so you have to wait to spend the money and then get reimbursed on the assistance for small businesses. Well,
Yeah, I think when the governor approached us, he envisioned it being a one and done, and we kind of thought that was going to be the way it would be run as well. But we don't have control over that. We're the administrators, so we have to do,
follow the state guidelines.
to follow the rules, and they're not always really user friendly to the recipient, and that I think is something that we need to take a look at as a county. Right after the fires, everybody was asked to apply for this and this and this, and they applied. I mean, they had application fatigue. I would talk to people, and they said, honestly, I don't know what I applied for. They told me to stand in that line. I stood in that line. They told me to go to this website. I went to that website. And so I'm hoping out of all these groups that are talking, when all is said and done, all these recovery groups, long-term recovery group, Maui Economic Recovery Commission, and more. That all of these plans are kind of put together, and then we mesh them and see where are the similar projects, where are the similar goals. Let's put it together and then figure out who's going to take charge and lead those. But I'm a big fan of figuring out a one-stop entry system for support in any situation. So if we could have some kind of a database that everybody could share, all the providers were able on the back end to extract the people that would qualify for their services without the front end user having to know how that works, but they only apply one time. And then you match them up on the back end. And I'm not a tech person, so it's probably not that easy. But I think in a perfect world, that's what it would look like. Then I could call you and say, Pam, I have, your application. I can help you with X, Y, Z. And it also would then address with reporting shared data, because we'd all, sign off to say we're allowed to share data. The applicant would sign off. And then all of that information could be used to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts, because that was a big thing. And everybody was sharing these manual lists that it's not practical. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of names, and how do you cross-reference all of that with your database? It's like a needle in a haystack in some respects.
Well, and some of the programs, even where we did do the entry through the system, there were things that got lost in portals, and it was a nightmare. And of course, what you're asking for is completely possible. It exists in so many different arenas. Even as you were dealing with, inventory management, it's like, okay, all grocery stores have inventory management.
Right.
So if things are being donated, we can easily log things in. There are these systems that already exist in software. But even late last night, I was getting a call, and as you point out, and the call was almost exactly as you described. It was a Filipino family, and the challenge is that, again, sign up for this, sign up for that. They did. Don't know where the numbers are of the assistance. When they got some immediate assistance, they used it. Then they were denied assistance. Now, the challenge with rent is it's unsustainable. They need to connect. We're needing to connect them with multiple programs, but we're just trying to find out what they applied for, how they applied for it, and why they're not still in some of the programs.
Well, some of it too, I've noticed that family members, so a lot of the benefits were based on assistance for a household. So if you and I were from the same household, but we both applied separately, somebody's going to get kicked out. And those things created some backlog. And then also maybe people were applying under different names. Like my legal name is Deborah. So I might apply it under Deborah, but then I go by Debbie. So then the next time I apply for something, I apply under Debbie. And so it's just all these little nuances that make it pretty difficult. But
well, and we heard this earlier on, and I know that they were fixing it later. But I talked to different people with FEMA, SBA, and Red Cross, and I heard with some of the ethnic groups, we kept hearing that people weren't getting the services they need. And I would talk to the agencies and said, oh, no, we're meeting with lots of people.
Yeah.
And I said, well, are they all signing up?
It's hard. And it's hard when you mobilize a team from out of state and they don't know the names or the culture. But I mean, I know some people criticize them, but all in all, I think they did a really good job. They did the best they could. They really were here to help, but it was just a lot of organized chaos, I think, at some point. And you can sit and go, well, this should have happened, that should have happened, but hindsight is everything. I think what we need to do is look at all the lessons learned and figure out, VOAD and all these other groups that are meeting, what is the plan for the next time? What are we going to do different and to make it easier?
Well, and they corrected. Once they understood, they corrected because they had the interpreters. Mm-hmm. We just needed the interpreters on the front line with them, and they did correct it because they felt as people were nodding that they understood, and I said they're agreeing and be polite trying to understand. But as they understood that, they were correcting and I think one of the key things too is and the work that you're doing right now, right? You're doing the English as a second language program, and you were out there helping different groups who needed help with interpretation. I think that for our community with so many different ethnic groups is really key. But overall, I agree with systems thinking says, listen, after you go through something like this,
yeah, I think
you need to review the plan.
one thing that I can't get my head around, and I haven't figured it out, is how do we get people back to work? There's still resistance for some people to work, and I know in the beginning it was because they were in hotels and they weren't sure what the long-term solution was going to be, but there are so many jobs, so many businesses in dire need, and there are a lot of people that could work if we could match them up with the right jobs. And there's just a plethora of free training available. So I don't know how to flip that switch to say, okay, here's all the jobs, people, let's match it up and let's get everybody working.
It's one of those things. I mean, coming out of the Great Recession, right? We tried to centralize around HireNet through Department of Labor, and all businesses can put their jobs out there for free. And since then, so many people, from private groups to insurance companies to you name it, have put up these same systems to say, let us help you promote your jobs to the community and help you make those connections between job availability and workers needed. And what happened is we got a plethora of systems, and we didn't do it because we tried to centralize around what the state was working on, and then we got now the American Job Corps, look, people are I know from the business community, they feel like, well, we're posting jobs, and we know that there are many agencies who are trying to place people in those jobs, but what we're still seeing and hearing out of COVID is there is a different work ethic in some cases, where people don't want to work as many hours as they worked pre-COVID.
That is true. That is true. And so I think, though, for employers, we have to challenge ourselves to be creative. I told my staff a while ago, I said, if you have a position that's been open for 6 months, how are you doing the work?
Right.
If the work is getting done, then what is it that you really need? And maybe we need to reconfigure the position that's available, right?
Yeah, and in some, one of the challenges that we face, or I say we, I mean we, the business community faces, in some of the cases, and I hear this particularly, of course, because a lot of them are suffering right now with our visitor counts down, is visitor industry related jobs. I hear it from boat operators or tour operators. A lot of, and some, of course, I want to take into account understanding for those who are directly impacted by the wildfires. Some of them maybe just are not ready right now, and that's totally understandable. But of some of the work career that they used to have before, we're hearing it's just a different work ethic, and so the challenge for many is for them to piecemeal different people on different days or different times exponentially raises their costs because of Hawaii's law on healthcare.
Yeah,
at 20 plus hours. So they're trying to get creative and finding a way to allow people the flexibility to have the lifestyle they want by combining different days and, more people into the system. But then that exponentially raises their costs.
That's true, because people don't see that, right? The businesses see it, but on the front end, you're like, well, it's just 2 part-time positions, but it costs more than 1 full-time, right?
That's right. And people are not connecting. But that, of course, employees, that's not common knowledge within employees of understanding how those laws work. They just know, what the employer provides in terms of benefits to them. And so that's something that we're hearing concern with, of how do we continue to do it. we've seen a number of companies in those arenas close. But I think that, to your point, as you're talking to people about, getting them back to work and the kinds of work they'd like to do, we can hear there's all these job fairs where employers are going out and talking to people, but that hasn't been seeming to work. So I think we need a new model of matching. And one of the things with the state system and some of the other job postings is they will widely extrapolate. And what I mean by that is I remember when HDNS closed, they had workers that they said, well, they've worked out in the field, so they did landscaping. So they sort of, their resume looked like they did everything in landscaping, or they could do everything in landscaping. But when they were hired, actually, they had been clearing fields, so they didn't know how to trim trees, or, they didn't know landscaping, actual landscaping work.
Right.
So I think it's really important that to help with the matches. And for employers, this is now a big cost, trying to find the right employees and spending time interviewing people. We need to make sure that the work experience, the resumes are accurate, not extrapolated, and get a sense, I think, even pre-interview, understanding as we're doing job postings, what the job requires more, as well as them saying what they're willing to do. What days are they available? Days and times are they available to work or wanting to work? And what situations would they consider? In some cases, I remember a time when we were desperate for CDL drivers, and I know that there's still some people looking for CDL drivers, but we had a great boom and a lot of people going through training, and we saw that we got a lot of that solved. We're not hearing that same level. Construction industry we're working on training in the construction industry to take people from no experience in construction, working on a specialized program to look at plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems in a month with a concentrated program. But looking at new things, but needing to find, our industry is going to need a lot of help in construction with an aging workforce in the construction area. So a lot of opportunities there. But like you said, how are we doing the match? And I think that is where the look, just in that arena alone of reevaluating the posting system, what we're putting up on the resume system, and what we're putting up in terms of not only their work experience, but their interest and availability for working.
Well, what I found, though, especially for larger employers, they're really willing to train. And then with Good Jobs Hawaii and some of the other training opportunities that are out there, you can tap into those resources. But there is time, even if the training is at no cost, it's the time to get them trained and all of that. But, hopefully if we invest in our workers, then maybe they'll stay and they'll be more, committed to the organization. But that's probably a conversation for another day and a lot longer than the time we have left.
That we have left, for sure. Well, no, that's very true. And like as far as my conversations, I mean, every business person, even small businesses, although they really struggle, especially when they're short-staffed, it's really hard for them to train. But in a lot of areas, so many of our operations are so specialized. Training is a must. No matter, they have to, even if it comes at a hardship, it's a requirement they must face. There are many subsidies for that, as you point out. Department of Labor has ways to help, and there's so many great internship programs to get people started. And I think too, those will be good to look at and say, how well are they working? And are the placements as the interns are going through, are they sticking? Are people actually staying with operations? But this is going to be a big thing as we move forward.
Yeah, most definite.
And I know you're on the front lines, and we didn't really talk about it, but we did mention it briefly. But you have a tremendous HR background, so I know this is near and dear to your heart.
And that's always my first love. It's HR. People ask me HR to help with something. I'm like, that's my happy place. So.
I know. And it is your passion and your love.
Yeah.
Well, Debbie, thank you so much for joining us today. That's going to lead into, I'll give an announcement on our upcoming labor law seminar. But thank you so much for being with us and for all that you and your amazing team at NBO do. You've always been on the front lines during disasters and have brought a lot of programs to help, and we truly appreciate the work you do.
Well, thank you, Pam, and thank you to the Chamber for all the work you folks do, and you have a great day.
I will. You too.
Aloha.
Aloha. Oh, so it's always great to talk to Debbie. You can tell there is so many different arenas in the broad spectrum. And, as a community action organization, that is what they are here to do, which is just tremendous and amazing work and a phenomenal team. So if you need help, definitely reach out to MEO. And we are going to bring Ken Untermann, who is the business owner of Family Brands and Pictures Plus, CocoNene, Plus Interiors, and California Closets. He founded his business in 1986 at the Aloha Stadium swap meet. That's how he got started, as a Lahaina company, beginning with Pictures Plus, which evolved from those very humble beginnings into just a robust enterprise with over 150 employees statewide, annual sales of $25 million. So imagine that, I mean, for those listening, and especially for our swap meet folks who are listening, those tiny companies were started at the swap meet. Think about the potential for your business in growing on a scale like this. You too can make this happen. His company specializes in a diverse range of locally manufactured products through its family of brands. As I mentioned, Pictures Plus, CocoNene, Plus Interiors, and California Closets. And Ken has joined us before, and we are so excited to have him join us again.
He hasn't called in yet, Pam.
Oh, he hasn't called in.
No.
Do you want to give him a quick call?
I don't have a number.
It's on the script.
It wasn't this morning when I looked at.
No, it is. Yeah, it's right before his bio.
Okay, hold on. I'll go look again. Keep talking.
Okay. So, what I love, and Ken, he will share a little bit about his history, and what I love is that to start where he started and to be able to build not only one business, but expand into so many other businesses. Just starting at the Aloha Stadium in 1986. And here we are in 2024 with multiple businesses doing amazing work. We're so excited to hear from him, to learn from him, to understand how he continues to make it all happen, especially in these times. And he was one of the businesses, impacted by the wildfires, as CocoNene was on Front Street. So is that Ken on? Oh, maybe that's Gary calling Ken. Okay. So anyway, we will have him on shortly, but, this is a company who was right there in the crest of so much going on. And, he will share with us, how they're faring today and how they're pivoting and how he's been able to accomplish these amazing feats, which we're just always so thrilled with to hear how they're growing and moving forward.
Hey, Pam?
Yes.
So it says on the script, Kent will call this radio station, and it has our phone number on it.
Oh, yes, it does. Okay. Well, let's see. I guess we're going to need to wait for Ken to call in. So I will share a little bit more and tell people a little bit about.
It's a good thing you're a good talker.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I'll share with everybody a little bit about our upcoming labor law seminar. I kind of mentioned when Debbie was on. And one of the things that many businesses, they start their business, they hire employees, and, they learn a little bit about, hopefully, every business learns a little bit about employment practices and how to manage the business, and, what is required by law when you hire employees. And we were talking a little bit earlier about Hawaii's laws different than other state laws. So even if you do business in another state and learn the laws there, it wouldn't necessarily apply here because, for example, Hawaii offers medical coverage at 20 hours or more. And that's a requirement for the business. And so there's different nuances. But what many businesses don't know is they manage their employees and their teams. There's different things that come up at the legislature every year, different leave laws, different, minimum wage laws, different things that impact your workers on a regular basis. And so sometimes people think, well, I've already been through a training a while back, and they may have, but the law may have changed in the past year. And so I was recently doing a talk the other day and talking to people about, what is important to know in terms of the laws, and how do you keep up with the latest laws, and what are some of the key things that you need to know. And I was going through these different acronyms and saying to people, that we're going to cover these various topics. And people didn't know the acronyms. And I said, well, if you don't know the acronyms, then you don't know the laws that they apply to. So on Friday, September 27th, we're going to do our annual 2024 Labor Law Seminar at the Maui Beach Hotel. This is cost-effective training that can save your business in a huge way to help you better understand the laws that impact your employees and avoid lawsuits and make sure you have a very happy workplace environment. So just go to mauichamber.com and you will find more all about the 2024 Labor Law Seminar. Gary, have you been able to connect with Ken?
No, not yet. He hasn't called in.
Not yet. Okay.
Hasn't called in.
Okay. So that is coming up, and so I want to make you aware of that. I also want to make you aware that we have another exciting program, but the application period has closed now, and that is going to be the Mayor's Small Business Awards. So this is our annual event for the Mayor's Small Business Awards, where we recognize outstanding small businesses in our community. And that includes a Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, small businesses with 10 or fewer employees, small businesses with 11 to 39 employees, and an outstanding nonprofit of the year. Many people don't realize that nonprofits are businesses. The beauty of nonprofits is they too also have to make a profit, and that's why they're called nonprofits. But their profit that they make, the money, the balance they have at the end of the day, given those donations that come in and the good work that they do, that profit goes back into their mission purpose. So it continues to thrive and help the community for that mission purpose. So we want to include them in the awards as we have every year. So the Mayor's Small Business Awards tickets are available now, and we want to encourage everybody to join us. It's going to be on September 19th in the evening. It's going to be at the beautiful, I always call it the Marilyn Monroe designed house at Waikapu, but at the Waikapu Golf Course. But it's going to be a great celebration of outstanding business leaders. You learn about each of these companies. There are great posters that share with you about each of the companies and the work they do, which is phenomenal. And it's a great celebration. But every nominator who nominates a business is recognized for their effort to raise up and lift up a business. Every business is honored through media and through the posters, and to share their stories and to learn from them and share what they've done and how their career has gone. And then, of course, there are winners in the different categories. But the mayor going to be joining us. You have opportunities to take pictures with our mayor, to network within the community. It's a fun event, and it's open to the public. People love to come, especially new entrepreneurs who are thinking about getting into business or different ideas, or just people who are friends and family of those who are being honored. It's a fun night where we all celebrate businesses, and stories are told that are just wonderful stories to learn of their success. So we hope you can join us, and that'll be on September 29th. And I'm sure, Gary, you'll let me know if Ken's on, so I will just continue sharing great stories, because the other thing we are excited about is the annual Maid of Maui County Festival is coming up. And if you've heard already before, we had a phenomenal application year. We received the most applications that we've ever received to the annual event. We even have, unfortunately, not unfortunately, it is a jury show, so unfortunately,
okay, Pam,
we have a long waiting list.
We have Kent on.
Oh, you have Kent on. Fantastic. Okay, so join us November 1st and 2nd for the Maid of Maui County Festival. You can also find out more at maidofmauicountyfestival.com. And we've got Kent on. Aloha, Kent. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing awesome. We are doing awesome.
Great.
And so glad
I'm sorry I called in late there. I missed it. We just got back from Canada on Sunday and kind of catching up on everything and didn't have it in my reminders. So good to talk to you guys.
Oh, great to talk to you too. Well, we've got about 6 minutes, so we're going to talk a little bit shorter. But
Okay.
we didn't, we know that, I was sharing with everybody how you started at the swap meet and built up to a family of businesses and brands. And we know that you had your CocoNene on Front Street. And we thought maybe you could talk to us a little bit about, going through that process. I know you had reopened later on in a different location. But tell us where you're at today. Give us an update.
Yeah, so we're actually, thank you. We opened in Kalama Village and Maui Harbor earlier this year, and we're actually opening on 9/8 in Wailea, Shops of Wailea. That'll be our third and final location for Maui to completely, this is just expansion. We still want to reopen on Front Street when and if that can happen. But we're excited to open at the Shops of Wailea on September 8th, and that will give all of our employees full employment. We've been paying everybody in full with incentives through our insurance proceeds. So we're really happy to be able to have everybody fully back to work with this third location.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that. And so that's going to be your CocoNene
Yes.
location as well. Okay, so that's phenomenal. And what day is the 8th?
What was that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What day of the week is that?
Good. I think that's a Monday. I believe it's Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look here real quickly. Yeah, we moved it back a week. We lost a week. Yeah. Monday, either Sunday the 8th or Monday the 9th. More likely Monday the 9th. We're gonna open there. And then more exciting news. We're gonna be opening on Dairy Road with both our California Closets and Pictures Plus. So we've had that showroom. We're gonna renovate, finish installing some of the cabinets and closets, so we'll be able to more fully help those people that are recovering in their homes with both closets and cabinets that are made in Hawaii, made on Oahu in our manufacturing area. So we're quite excited about that. That should happen late next month. So we're real excited to continue to make things in Hawaii.
Well, we're thrilled that you're making things in Hawaii, and we're thrilled that you have been taking. when you've been on the show before, it's been very clear that you always take care of your employees and find workarounds. And as you mentioned, using your insurance money to make sure that people were employed. You're one of those companies that we're really always proud to lift up because of the amazing work that you're doing. And I think, and to know that you're doing these other two projects, you're doing these two projects right now, both of them very intensive, opening a new store and renovating one of your major stores. But I'm excited to get to see all the closets and to have this at this time. I think it's the perfect time for people to learn more about what you're doing as they're planning their houses and learn more about the products and get to see the beautiful work you do. And know it came from here. And local, we always say local hands and local hearts, right? It means everything.
Yeah, no, we're really happy to participate. Fortunately, we make most everything on Oahu, so we can help kind of support the Maui recovery. It's, living on Oahu, we're only sort of feeling what it's like, but I can only imagine, through our employees and everybody else, devastation recovery. But it's just so nice to see everybody working together and see Lahaina kind of cleaning up and sort of coming back to life, if you will. So we're also hopeful. I'm on the Front Street recovery team, and we're trying to bring the business back to Front Street because it was such a economic engine to all the people that live in Lahaina. Most of our employees actually lived in Lahaina. 5 of our 9 employees lost their homes. So just trying to, do our little part to help recover is what we're trying to do.
Well, we're really thrilled with all that you've been doing.
1 minute.
And, yes, 1 minute. Well, that gives me time to say we're very proud of the amazing work you've been doing, and thank you so much for your leadership. And we also, I'm just amazed at all the things that you've been able to do as you've grown this company and keep all these different entities running with so many employees. Thank you for all you do, and we are excited. We'll look on the 9th and September 9th and look for the opening, or maybe the 8th, but check the local newspaper and see what's going on, maybe. And look for CocoNene out in the shops at Wailea. And we'll look up to see about the Dairy Road renovation. Thank you, Ken, for joining us. It's always great to have you on. So, Kent Untermann, amazing man. And to all of you who have been listening in, thank you for joining us today for Business Matters. We hope you have a wonderful week and send blessings and aloha.